Welcome to Zambian, the channel on which we engage in dialogue with leaders from across sectors and generations. Greetings and welcome to Zambian. My name is Martin Kalungubanda, your host on this channel. This week, our guest is a young, vibrant Zambian living in diaspora who has a passion for home. Her name is Kwilole Chisuse-van
Yeah.
Kwilole is an experienced PR or public relations and communications professional. She has had work experience in the pharmaceutical industry, but also does a lot of business to business marketing. Kwilole's experience includes strategic communication, media management, stakeholder relations, project management, and content development. Kwilole holds a Bachelor of Arts degree in public relations from the University of Bournemouth. In her pastime, Kwilole chairs the board of Funsani, an NGO that provides a home for children orphaned by HIV and AIDS in Kitwe, Zambia. Funsani has supported many young people, some of whom are adults living on their own, having completed their education. Kwilole, welcome
Hi.
to Zambian.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
It's wonderful to have you here. I would like to begin by asking you what your personal journey has been, the journey that has led you to where you are today. Let us in about your background, your folks, and whatever else you think is important for us to learn from.
Oh, thanks. It's, those that know me quite well know that I'm a very private person. So this is interesting when you tell me to let you in. So where shall we start? Well, I was born in Zambia. I was born in Luanshya, and I grew up actually across Zambia. So I did grow up in Livingstone. I don't remember much of my time in Livingstone. I also grew up in Kitwe. Then I grew up in Lusaka for a little bit before coming to the UK. So I feel like I know Zambia quite well. In terms of where I am today, there's one memory particularly that stands out for me. It was before I left Zambia, and my mom, Dr. Apakombwele Chisuse, who started the charity that I'm chairperson for now, Funsani. I remember sitting there, I was about 12 years old, and I was sitting in the audience, and she had lost her mother, she had lost her brother, and she had now just lost her sister to HIV. And in spite of all of that, there she stood talking about hope, opportunity, the future. And I just remember 12-year-old me being in such awe of her. I just thought, wow, this woman is incredible, to be honest. And it lit this fire in my belly to want to do more with my life, with myself. So when I was younger, when I came to the UK, I started a group called Funsani Kids for Kids. And it was really just a group of me and my friends dancing, doing some traditional Zambian dances, some Rumba from Congo. And we went around the UK and we would raise money, talking about the charity and putting on variety shows. When I was 18, I decided to join the board of Funsani when I could legally join it. And then when I graduated from university, I became chairperson for the charity. So that's my journey in a nutshell. I hope that gives you a good overview.
Thank you. So you used your talent in dancing, entertaining, to begin to fundraise for the charity.
Yes, precisely. So we did variety shows. We had myself and my friends doing some dancing. We had some people who could sing way better than I can. We had a fire juggler. That was always a good health and safety hazard. We had gymnastics. So it was really quite, a variety show in that lots of different talents, I would say, brought together, put on the show. We called ourselves Kids for Kids because at the time, I believe we were kids doing something for other kids. So it fit. It seemed to work, and people like that.
Talk about converting personal tragedy into a source of hope, into something that starts building other people. Your family established Funsani because you witnessed the loss of relatives, loved ones, to HIV and AIDS. And what does Funsani mean?
What does the term Funsani mean, or what does the charity mean?
The term itself.
Yeah, the term means ask, to ask. So yeah, it's good that you're asking about it. But it's also even more personal to us because it was my grandmother's name. So yeah, so it's kind of twofold. It's my grandmother's name, but also it means ask. So it works.
If you were to share with us an image or object that best describes who you are, what might that be?
I would say a star, but hopefully not for the reasons everyone might think. So in my mind, I guess it's threefold, really. Firstly, I guess on a superficial level, I've been told that I have a bright and bubbly personality, and I think stars are quite bright. So, from that perspective. But on a personal level, Mama has raised me to always aim high. Nothing is beyond reach. If I want something, go for it. So that, again, to me, is why I would symbolize that object as me. Beyond that, actually, and this is more of a recent thing, obviously Funsani has been running since 2002. And the last couple of years where the youngsters, that have grown up and now graduating, they're going on to be civil engineers, nurses. I keep hearing from them that I'm their role model, or, they think I'm a role model. And that's an interesting thing for me because I didn't set out to be anyone's role model, but actually it made me reflect on how I conduct myself, how I come across, what my aspirations are, what I do, because people are watching, even when you don't think that they are. So that was really inspiring for me. And you mentioned that, in part of my work that I did business to business. So part of that, in my previous role, not the one that I'm in now, I actually worked in the shipping industry. And stars, I don't know if you know this, but seafarers can actually use stars to guide them. So again, using that analogy of star, if people are looking up to me and thinking, this is what I would like to be, this is the role model that I see for myself, then I think I have a duty and onus is on me to be a good role model to those that feel that I could be.
Stars can be a guiding light, particularly to those sailors on the seas.
Yeah, exactly.
And in a way, we are all sailors. But would you pick one of the people that have gone through the support of Funsani? And you may not want to tell their name exactly, but are you able to pick one individual that they arrived like this? And over the years, this is where they are, and this is what they are doing.
Yeah, absolutely. To be honest, I'm proud of all of them. I think what these young adults now have had to go through, some of us can only begin to imagine. So the fact that there's one in particular, and I'll tell you why this stands out more in my mind. So it's a young lady. She came to the home when she was about 5-6 years old. She was there. She was one of the very first children that we had at the home when Mama opened the home. So I met her on opening night, and over the years, she did well academically. When she finished grade 12, she decided she wanted to be a nurse. And that was fantastic because I thought that's a vocation that really, it's about caring. And also we need a lot more people in this world that just care about other people. But not only that, I thought she chose a vocation that is really quite realistic and pragmatic in terms of being able to get work in Zambia. So I was proud of her for that. What I'm most proud of also though is that this year actually, we set up a board in Zambia to mirror the board here in the UK. And she volunteered to be on the board for Funsani. It's a true testament to me that the work that we're doing matters, because if it didn't, then someone who has gone through that process wouldn't want to stay so in touch with the board. And that was really quite heartwarming for me on a personal level.
Thank you. What a story. So people or young children arrive at Funsani at a home that this NGO runs, and then you start looking after them as family.
Yeah, 100%. So family is a really good point that you've raised. We have 3 core values. Family is one of them. We want these young adults to have a family unit, so they've got a mother figure, a father figure, just like any normal, healthy, thriving family. We also focus a lot on education. And the last one is about transparency, because I think oftentimes people think about charity in a negative light, in terms of, oh, money will be squandered or money won't go to actually the projects that it's assigned for. And as a small charity, that's something that we are very proud of, that if anyone, any of our donors or anyone who supports us gave us any money, we can tell them exactly, where their money has been spent. So that, yeah, so family is the #1 core value. And then, as I said, education, and then transparency as well.
Wonderful. Kwilole, let's face it, you have lived much of your life away from home, from Zambia.
I have.
And yet you feel so deeply connected. You are so deeply connected to the country. What is it that allows you to do this? How do you remain connected with home?
A couple of ways. I think obviously Funsani is an obvious one, but also I still have a lot of family in Zambia, so that helps to stay connected with them, to share in their successes, celebrate one of my cousins who, as you know, in Zambia is just sister anyway, just had a baby, and I feel like I had a baby, so it's very exciting. But also I have some really good long-term friends that I was friends with when I was at primary school. So since I was about 5 or 6 years old, and we're still friends to this day. In fact, one of them, I was speaking to him last night, and I was telling him that I was going to talk to you today. So yeah, he thought it was interesting and wished me luck, obviously. But yeah, so I think that personal connection, both in terms of friends and family, but also the charity work. And Mama, there's something Mama has always told me, which is that charity begins at home. And no matter how long I stay in the UK, even if people sometimes when I go to Zambia say I don't sound like I'm Zambian anymore, to me, Zambia is home, that is my home. That's where I grew up. And if I can do something, even if it's a small part, we're not an Oxfam for sure. We're not a UNICEF, but we're doing something. And I think, as Tesco likes to say, every little helps, so I think it's important for people to appreciate that, I think, for what it is, and hopefully they do.
So do you feel like you have 2 countries that you both value, or Zambia just remains the primary home, although you are living and working out of the United Kingdom? In this way, it's only Zambia. Or we could actually, as humans, hold 2 countries as important and close to our hearts.
For me personally, I hold both of them very dearly. And I'm very protective of both the UK and Zambia, because as I said, obviously Zambia is home to me, but the reality is also, I have lived here longer. I've lived in the UK longer, and as long as I continue to live here, I will always be British as well as Zambian. So for me, I think it's important to have that balance. The other thing that I quite like is that I I'm able to draw on my experiences from one place to the other. So one of the things that I've been talking a lot about with some of, I said I have a lot of friends who I've grown up with in Zambia. They're actually mainly against charity, like the notion of charity. And I have another really good friend who is Italian, and we had a debate about this. And I was explaining to him that my ultimate goal is, yes, right now, Zambia is reliant on the West and funding from Western donors. But actually, part of our program, I would say, or long-term vision for starting a board in Zambia and also starting some sustainable projects is to lessen the reliance on the Western world. So really building from the ground up in Zambia and hopefully, well, who knows, maybe Zambia will be supporting the UK at some point. You never know, these things could happen. If COVID has taught us anything, it's don't get too comfortable. So yeah, to come back to your original question, I do think it's possible to hold two countries and values, even if they do seem like they are quite disparate in high regard, I think, for me at least.
I must also say and own up the fact that I know you and your family.
Yes.
When one arrives at your home here in Oxfordshire, the culture is almost like you have arrived at a home in Zambia, whether it's by the way you, if I may say so, the children greet the visitors, welcome people, or the food you serve and how you sit around others and share. It feels like you have truly kept our culture while living in another country.
Yeah, and I think that's important. I think my friends say that as well. The one thing, it's interesting, I was talking to Mama about this recently, actually, because we had a visitor who is, he's from Malawi, but he married his aunt or cousin married my uncle, Mama's brother. And he said the exact same thing as you, that he came into the home, not only was it filled with like Zambian artifacts, but also just the way he was greeted and the hospitality. And I was saying to him, well, in our home, growing up here in the UK, in Oxfordshire, Mama would often, especially on a Sunday, she would cook so much food, right? And I would say to her, who are you cooking this food for? And she says, you never know who might come. You should always be prepared. That's the Zambian way. Your visitors can't come in and be hungry. And that's something that's always stuck with me, like when visitors come, we're very hospitable culture, I would say, as Zambians, Moiseni, like whenever someone comes into your home, it's your home is my home. I don't know if it's the Spanish who say mi casa su casa, but it's the same for us. Your guests are family and you treat them as you would treat your own family. So I'm glad that you feel that way coming to our home.
Kwilole, what is your ambition? What is your highest aspiration for our country?
So for me, I mean, I'm sure I've alluded to it a couple of times now as I was speaking to you, but it really ties into one of our core values at Funsani, which is about education. So, if you look at why we believe education is important, we actually believe it's a fundamental right for everyone. And my ambition is for better education, better job opportunities for all. Because one of the things that has been saddening, yes, okay, we have seen successes with some civil engineers and nurses, but we also have people who go to higher education and can't get a job. And that, for me personally, that is not okay. I think the economy, we need better investment in the economy, but also a better understanding in terms of what is it to make an economy better. I think oftentimes people get really hung up, and it's easy for me to say, as someone who took the academic route, that that's the route to go. But I actually don't believe that. I think that's one way to go. I think there are other vocational skills, other skills-based trades that are equally as important, if not more important, for an economy to thrive. And people should be encouraged to understand what their options are. If academia is the way for you to go, then 100% go do academia. But crucially, I think it's the responsibility of those in charge, the government and people in power, to ensure that there are better opportunities for people once they have gone down that route to get an opportunity to then work in that field. But equally, you know, if someone wants to go down the route of let's say not like a less academic route, then also those opportunities are provided either through encouraging them to be entrepreneurial, or, you know, if they want to do what's the word I'm looking for, you know, an apprenticeship, which is the word escaped me. Yeah, so if they wanted to do an apprenticeship to gain more skills, a better understanding. Yeah, so in a nutshell, it's better education and better opportunities for all, not some.
And you must then be very pleased that the new Dawn government back home has committed to employing all those graduate teachers who didn't get jobs in the past years, that they will be recruited, that they will be employed. Yeah. It must be gratifying to learn that.
Yeah, it is. But you know what's even more gratifying? When it actually happens, right? Because I feel like oftentimes people talk about a vision, people talk about what they want, what they aspire to, and commitment's great. It's the first step. For me, the actual step is action. So I will feel much better when I see the plan come into action, and you know, people that have been promised a job, whether it's in teaching, in nursing, that they do actually fulfill their goal.
Kwilole, talking about education, the education you have received seems to have allowed you to blossom, seems to have allowed you with the capacity to find your different paths in life. What aspects of your education do you think helped you to create this capability?
For me personally, I actually didn't always want to study public relations. Actually, I kind of fell into public relations. I wanted to be a journalist, would you believe? And I remember applying to universities, and Bournemouth University wrote back to me, and they said, because you have to do a personal statement for university. And I remember the last line of my personal statement. It was, the reason why I wanted to be a journalist is, at the time, it was 2008, Obama had just made history as the first Black US president. And I wrote, the next time history is made, I want to be there putting pen to paper. And Bournemouth University went, no, you're not doing that. You're not going to be a journalist. Tell you what, you'll be great at the public relations. And I remember I've spoken very open and honestly about this, actually. I actually didn't know what public relations was at the time. And it's one of those interesting fields. I feel like a lot of people think they know what PR is, but unless you study it and understand it, you don't. So in a nutshell, firstly, I went to university and learned that there's 60 different definitions of public relations. So it's almost like pick one. But for me, what it boils down to is how an organization, you know, relates with its various stakeholders, whether that's internal stakeholders or external stakeholders. What I hopefully have been able to do for an organization like Funsani, for example, you know, if you think about marrying the two, Funsani is something that's a passion that's driven from me, as you know, as we spoke about, from personal tragedy, personal circumstances. What my PR degree has allowed me to do is think about, okay, what is our USP, if you like? What are we about? Think about the type of charity that we want to be, and hold on to that. You know, don't try and do everything because we can't. Don't try and be a UNICEF because you're not a UNICEF. What you are is a family-run charity that you know, has a real personal connection to the charity. If you think about the people on the board on the charity now at Funsani in the UK, it's myself, my younger brother Yos, our sister Tima, and some of our close friends that used to do Funsani Kids for Kids with us, actually, as well as Mama and her partner David as well. So it's a close-knit family, if you like. So we're building a family in Funsani home in Kitwe, but also on the board here, and also on the Zambia charity board. And that's been something that's been important to me for us to hold on to. That being said, we've gone a little bit rogue recently. We just hired a manager who has nothing to do with the family, but already she tells us she's part of the family. And that's fantastic. You know, she liked the fact that we're all a family and has big dreams for the charity. So we'll see how it goes. I'm excited to work with her.
Wonderful. And finally, Kwilole, what is the best piece of advice you have ever been given?
It would have to be from Mama. She gives me a lot of advice, as you probably can guess. She's a psychiatrist by trade, for my sins. But she's also, I would say, my biggest cheerleader, actually. And whenever I have ever doubted myself, can I get that job, you know, because I will be the only Black person in the company. Like, I'll go to a job interview and there are no other Black people. Or if ever I doubt myself, she says to me, go for it. What's the worst that can happen? And that has stuck with me, you know, to this day, because really, oftentimes I think people hold themselves back, and we needn't. Like, you have nothing to lose going for it and putting your best foot forward, shooting your shot and seeing what happens, because something incredible might happen. For example, this year, I had said to her last year, I don't know if my manager knew this, but I said to Mama, next year I'm going to get promoted. And she said, go for it. And you know what, Martin, I got promoted this year. And it was exciting because Mama and I, you know, we were like, yeah, I went for it and I got it. So, yeah.
Kwilole, thank you so much for sharing with us your reflections. Go for it. What is the worst thing that can happen? It's just a simple no or rejection, and you still remain the same before you are tempted to go for it. I would like to thank you and your family for demonstrating that we can all do our bit of contribution to the well-being of our country, to the well-being of the world. It only takes a family that comes together and they choose to invite other people to support them. Thank you for the many children you are supporting, from nothing to everything.
Thank you so much. That was so eloquently put. That's very kind of you. Thank you. And thanks again for inviting me to Zambition. It's been a pleasure.
Having listened to the dialogue and followed my conversation with our guest, I now invite you to look at the drawing that emerged out of that dialogue. Take time to see the contours, the colors, the images that are reflected on the painting, on the drawing. And pay attention to what the drawing evokes in you. What are the feelings? What are the thoughts that are ignited by you looking at the painting? What thoughts does the painting generate in you with regard to your own leadership? What thoughts, feelings, and images does this painting evoke in you with regard to the future of our country? What else does this painting make you think and feel? Kindly share your reflections on this channel so that we can continue the dialogue on the future of the country we all love, on the future of our nation.